Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, it's Otto here. I'm just making a quick update video showcasing my first raid with the new Star Surge buffs. Spoilers, I think Star Surge feels really good to press. I think the damage of Boomkin is looking really positive going into the future as long as it doesn't get nerfed, because it is really strong in PvP. I believe that this raid was the rank 1 overall Boomkin performance, so I think it's a pretty good baseline for you guys to follow and maybe get some tips on what to do better. I will be doing a quick gear check as well as a quick overview on each boss with a voiceover just explaining what I'm focusing on. Maybe that'll be helpful for you guys. You can catch me live at twitch.tv/auto_wow, or you can leave your questions in my chat there or in the comment section down below. I appreciate all subs, follows, or likes and stuff like that. Okay, just quickly going into the gear before we start. I think the general rule of thumb for Boomkin is you want to kind of ignore intellect and spirit. Mana is not your problem for this spec. You just want to max out on as much spell power, and that's both arcane and nature spell power. They're about 1-to-1 in value, so just try to find the highest spell power greens of the auction house that you can find just to start off with. If you do get any blue pieces with these neutral spell power, it's worth about 2 times as much as either arcane or nature spell power. So the neutral spell power is definitely what you want to pick up if you can find it. So I'm using 2-piece from Raid, very strong. I'm using green spell power shoulders, arcane spell power cloak, the nature spell damage wrists, nature spell damage gloves from Raid, the belt from Raid, the green arcane spell damage legs, the crafted boots, the Raid ring, the Warsong Gulch ring, the Warsong Gulch trinket, the PvP trinket, and the arcane spell power staff. Okay, but yeah, we'll be going into the raid now. If you have any other questions, like I said, you can drop them down below. Another quick thing is I will be releasing my Boomkin guide in the next few days. I'm just quickly updating it with the Star Surge buffs that's changed the way you gear a bit, but you should expect to see that coming soon. So the first boss is Baron Aquanis. It's a very short and easy fight. You just want to make sure that you're prioritizing your rotation, because any mistakes on a short fight can be quite detrimental to your overall damage. If you need to move out of the hurricane damage, then just make sure you're casting your instant cast abilities while moving. You don't want to be wasting any wrath casts or any empty globals by moving around. You'll probably see me greeting quite a lot standing in the hurricane. I can do that because the damage isn't very high. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can do it if you want to. If you end up getting knocked down either by someone else or by having to jump down yourself, you can continue to DPS from the water, no problem. Definitely do not waste time trying to get back up on the platform. Just try to avoid the swirling typhoons in the water and continue to DPS until the boss is dead. Should be very short, under a minute if your group is good, and yeah, it's a pretty easy boss. Going on to the turtle next. So the second boss in the raid is Ghamoo-ra. It's a really fun boss for casters because he starts with a damage reduction shield that after 100 hits will pop, increasing his damage taken by all spells by a lot. So it's a very simple fight mechanically. All you really have to worry about is dodging the bubbles. You do not need to touch them for mana. As a Boomkin, you have 0 mana problems, so just avoid the bubbles and then pump in phase 2 when the shield breaks. Keep in mind that there is a threat wipe when his shield pops, so watch your damage, call for the tanks to taunt if you do a bit too much burst. Otherwise, enjoy this fight, it's a lot of fun, it's a lot of damage, and you'll be topping the meters pretty much guaranteed. Okay, so Sarevess is the third boss in the raid and probably the easiest boss. The only thing is that on logs, it's currently counting all damage to the ad as damage on your log. So you want to be multi-dotting the ad if you're going for a high log. Otherwise, if you're going just for the fastest kill, you just want to single target the boss. When it comes to multi-dotting, whenever you would Wrath in your rotation, you want to be tabbing to the alt target and Sunfire, Moonfire back on the main target, making sure that you're using Star Surge on cooldown on the main target, okay? So yeah, multi-dot the ad and single target the boss, and then you'll find that Boomkin actually does surprisingly high damage if you are multi-dotting. So yeah, very short fight, very easy, very fun, lots of damage for Boomkin. So Gelihast is definitely one of the more interactive fights mechanics wise. He has 3 phases and 2 intermissions. During the intermission, he's immune to all damage, and this is where the fight gets a bit iffy. So you want to dodge the Murlocs in the intermission. There are safe spots you can use. I do not showcase them in this video. Personally, I prefer to dodge them, I find it more fun. But there are safe spots that I'm sure you could find online somewhere. Otherwise, you need to make sure that you're going to be hitting the boss as soon as he comes out of his intermission, because that's all damage you're missing if you're not hitting him when he comes out. So there will still be Murlocs running around, but as soon as the boss becomes active again, you want to make sure that you're starting again with your rotation. I did a pretty bad job of refreshing my Fairy Fire after every phase. I forgot to. That's definitely something I need to work on. I will be updating my weak auras and posting them for you guys to use. That'll track the dot timers and Fairy Fire timer. So yeah, look out for that. Otherwise, this fight is really easy. In phase 3, you do want to be multi-dotting the ads when you can. Again, in this fight, I think the ads were dying really fast. I didn't really get much of a chance to multi-dot, but that is something that will increase your DPS if you just pop a Sunfire on all the different ads that spawn in phase 3. Otherwise, make sure you're using Star Surge on cooldown and dodging the main boss, dodging and then re-engaging the boss as soon as possible. Right, so Lorgus Jett is a fight that felt terrible to play as a Boomkin before the raid nerfs, but they nerfed his nature resist down from 75 to 25, which makes our damage a lot higher. It's a massive buff for Boomkin, thankfully, because it did feel really bad to play. All you need to focus on in this boss is multi-dotting the 2 initial ads and every caster ad that comes in. I do Moonfire and Sunfire on both of them. You don't want to refresh your dot if the ad is about to die, keep in mind. You just want to make sure you're also Star Surging on cooldown. And you kind of want to ignore the Murlocs. I don't think you have enough mana to be multi-dotting all the Murlocs. As well as if you have a lot of cleave in your group, you'll find that the Murlocs will die before your dots get the full value. So I just multi-dot the main 2 ads and any further caster ads that come in. When the boss spawns, you just swap to your single target rotation on the boss. If you're running out of mana, you should probably be not pre-potting, but you should probably be popping your mana pot early in the fight so you can maybe have it up for the end of the fight. And then yeah, you keep your Fairy Fire up, and whenever he spawns the Lightning Shield totem, you want to try tab and kill the totem before continuing on the boss, otherwise you will kill yourself to the reflect damage. And yeah, this fight is fairly long, so mana pots are recommended even though we have such good mana sustain. And yeah, it's a really interesting fight, a lot of multi-dotting, a lot of keeping track of dots. If you can do that well, this is a very fun fight for you. So Twilight Lord Kelris is the second last boss in the raid, arguably the hardest boss in the raid, and it does require quite a bit of movement as a ranged. Our guild specifically, we decide to stack our range stack together and we bait the shadow crashes slowly around the room, making sure to bait them as close to the shadow puddles as possible to maximize our room as we move around the boss. Luckily though, this boss was nerfed by Blizzard. It has reduced its arcane resist by quite a lot, so our damages are way higher than it used to be. Again, same as Lorgus Jett and same for Aquanis. So yeah, you want to be kiting around the room, making sure to save your instants for when you have to move. Obviously, don't let your dots drop off, but make sure to be using them as you're moving around. In phase 2, when he enrages, you want to make sure that you spread as far away from the other ranged as you can, and dodge the shadow crashes again in phase 2. Very simple fight. If you do need to get sent down into the dream phase, make sure you're positioned in a way that you're closer to the boss for when you need to be sent down. Otherwise, luckily as a boomkin, if your raid leader doesn't specifically tell you to go down, you can stand quite far back with your range so that you don't actually get sent down if you don't need to be. So yeah, very tricky fight, lots of movement. Make sure you're not wasting too many globals with moving, but it's quite a fun fight and it drops your best staff, so good luck on that. So we have finally arrived at the last boss of the raid, Aquanis. It's a very simple fight as a caster. All you have to do is just, when he turns to face you, you just dodge his frontal. If you get hit and get a couple stacks, it's not the end of the world. Just follow what your raid leader says. If you need to cleanse them, then cleanse them. If you don't, just continue to DPS. Hopefully the way your raid is set up is that you will cleanse the stacks right before the intermission, so you'll have adds to DPS while the boss is immune. Keep in mind these adds do have a bit more nature res even still after the nerfs, so maybe focus on Star Surge and Moonfire on these adds will do more damage than Sunfire and Wrath. As soon as the bosses come out of his intermission, go back on boss, nuke him down, and that's the end of the raid. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this content. I will do more things like this in the future. I will be releasing my comprehensive balance druid guide soon, just finishing up some details with that. Otherwise, leave a comment down below if there's something in particular you want to ask or suggest or criticize, because I know my gameplay wasn't perfect. But yeah, if you enjoyed what you saw here, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.